Hey guys, how's it going? My name's the Breph, and welcome to this overdue challenge video. Today I'm asking the question, can you beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order without using the Force? Now I love this game. It feels and plays to me like a proper Star Wars experience should. Actually, it reminds me fondly of playing Star Wars Episode 3 on the PS2, one of my all-time favourite games that follow me throughout my life. Other such titles include Spider-Man 2 and Dynasty Warriors 5 for the exact same reason and coincidentally console. But enough about my nostalgia. What constitutes using the Force in this playthrough? For that information, we turn to the rules, and they're actually pretty easy. Anything that drains the Force meter is basically banned. Of course, Force powers are needed to traverse certain areas, and that's a huge mechanic of the game, but these won't violate us. In combat, however, anything goes except using Force Push, Force Pull, slow abilities, and anything else the game puts in front of us that uses the Force. Several skills that you can unlock in the skill tree have a little thing on them that says uses Force, and we can easily avoid these. Unfortunately, they include a lot of really good and overpowered attacks like the saber throw and overhead slash abilities. Other than that, that's all there really is to it. I think it goes without saying that if we're put in a position by the game where we have to use the Force and can't really have any alternative to get around it, then this also won't violate us. What skills am I going to prioritise? Well, they are going to mainly be lightsaber skills like Sprint Strike, the Delay Thrust and Combo, Switch Attack and Lightsaber Mastery. Those are mainly the offensive skills that I want above all else. All health skills are on the table should I have enough skill points to choose them, and I think it goes without saying that the Force skill line is pretty much dead to us. There are spoilers for the story and the plot line ahead, but other than that, let's get on with it. The game begins with Cal Kestis on Bracca, scrapping ships for a living. A worker droid offers us double pay to do something dangerous, which is an offer we cannot refuse. Up there we find a Jedi fighter, filling us with nostalgia that very swiftly turns to dread as the ship falls apart from under us. Watching as Prof tumbles to his death, we risk exposure after using the Force to save the pair of us. The 9th and 2nd sisters arrive and kill Prof, enraging Cal, who foolishly reveals his lightsaber, thus kicking off the beginning of a tutorial section. The only thing of note here is the never-ending set of enemies that spawn unless you follow the instructions, and yes, that does include the Force slow. That is pretty much all of the excitement that happens for now, apart from a fight with the 2nd sister, but it is a tutorial type fight and easy enough to get through. Seer and the Mantis arrive and they help us escape, revealing to us the mission: enter the vault on Bogano. So making our way towards the big structure, we run into a little droid, BD-1. He shows us his bravery and determination by taking on a bog rat and getting himself injured. At the back of a cavernous area, Cal uses his powers of psychometry to reconnect his Force powers and remember how to wall run, conveniently opening up the route to the vault. We enter it and witness the holographic projection of Master Eno Cordova, telling us essentially to retrace his footsteps, which is what we decide to do. We got two options here: follow the story and head over to Zepho, or take a detour to Dathomir. This trip ultimately leads to a dead end, but I decide to make it anyway. Why? Because here we can find a spare lightsaber handle in a cave, prematurely getting us access to the fabled double lightsaber. Why do I get this now? Crowd control mainly. Without being able to use Force powers, it could be easy to get swamped by blaster fire, or even surrounded by troopers. But above all else, two sabers are better than one, eh? So now we head over to Zepho, following in Cordova's footsteps. While here, we run across the first of a few stim crates, increasing BD-1's capacity. Fighting off a bunch of pathetic and useless storm bloopers, we come across the first Zepho tomb. Trying to keep spoilers to an absolute minimum, we unlock the Force push ability and make our way into the sarcophagus chamber. Here we see another projection from Cordova, this time telling us to go to Kashyyyk and try and find a Wookiee chieftain named Tarful. Flying over there, we see that the state of the gaff is less than ideal. The Clone Wars have never ended here and the Empire is hauling arse to try and secure the planet. We do the only sane thing that we can think of and hijack an AT-AT, blasting the ever-living heck out of the Imperial dogs in the name of the Sons of Skyrim. Surviving that, we encounter Saw Gerrera, who tells us that we need to free some Wookiee prisoners so they can locate Tarful for us. We go on mowing down trooper after trooper until we bump into the first purge trooper of the game. I learn that the best way to deal with this type is with a single lightsaber. We head off and free the prisoners, having to fight an AT-ST walker and a boatload of easy to kill troops. Succeeding here, we're sent off back to Zeffo. For anyone who hasn't played this game, it's really fun, but basically just one long giant fetch quest. Force powers make enemies a lot easier to defeat, but they aren't essential and the challenge isn't so difficult from the offset. In truth, I did kind of expect this to be a little bit more difficult, or at least a little bit more of a challenge. Anyway, when on Zeffo, we encounter the second sister again. She goes off on a big ass rant before growing impatient with us and attacking. The whole fight took me just over 2 minutes to complete and ends when you drop the sister's health down to half. Upon completion, BD1 saves us from certain death and the second sister reveals herself to be Trilla, Seer's apprentice who she gave up to the Empire. Big shock. Whoop-de-doo. This is the part of the game where we find the next tomb. A tomb that is so full of puzzles and issues and that sort of thing, I really couldn't care less about it. Inside, on top of the giant suspended coffin, we get shot down, prompting us to remember the time we learned the force pull technique. Recovering from that, we move through the temple, clearing the puzzles and enemies alike. We come across a strange wall drawing which prompts Cordova to rear his head and tell us we're searching for something called an astrium. So in excitement I run back towards the ship, getting intercepted by someone with a jetpack and a flamethrower and the name of Null Chance. Null Chance is exactly what he had against us until he whipped out something or other that disabled us completely, prompting us to reawaken. When we do, we find ourselves in prison with no weapon and no clue what's going on. We work our way through the place and rescue BD1. The careless creature also happened to get himself captured. Turns out we've been taken by a group of gambling people, with Grease being responsible for that. We're forced to compete in some gladiatorial combat against captured things from all across the galaxy. One of our opponents was that bastard Null Chance again, and upon giving him the slaying he deserved, the Mantis arrives to rescue us and whisk us away to our next mission. Location? The Shadowlands of Kashyyyk. Here we find the individual we were searching for all along, Chieftain Tarful. He sends us up towards the top of the origin tree where the unthinkable happens. The ninth sister appears. She starts conversing with us in roundabout terms and ends up blasting us away. During this part, we unlock our Jedi flip ability and make our way to the injured Shio bird, which takes us up to the top of the tree where that bitch the ninth sister, strikes us. At the end of the rather too simple to be a boss fight, we gracefully sever the hand from the lady and promptly shove her off the tree. One thing we learned is that there's an astrium in Dathomir, so off we go. While back on the planet, we get a big fucking boulder thrown at us and descend into the bowels of the gaff. While down here, we grab ourselves some nifty little climbing gloves, but not without getting ambushed by a freaking massive chicken bat thing. A fight that ends with it committing death by suicide via a mountain. Back up to the temple area, we enter the ruins and encounter a vision. A vision of how our former master, Jaro Tapal, doesn't survive Order 66. This traumatic incident sees us breaking our lightsaber, meaning we're sent off to a faraway planet to construct our own. Destination: the Jedi Temple on Ilum. Down here in the caverns, we locate our Kyber crystal and rebuild a lightsaber with a split function that we can't use. Making our escape, we head back to Dathomir and into the temple again, to challenge the power-crazed former Jedi Taron Malicos. The fight itself is rather simple, and Taron has the ability to reflect all of our force powers away anyway, so in the end I've turned Star Wars into an old-fashioned hack and slash game. The completion of this fight gives us the ultimate prize we've been seeking, Zepho-Astrium. And back to Bogano we go, to open the vault and retrieve the Jedi holocron. When we find it, we get jumped. Who on earth saw that coming? Trilla arrives to take the thing away from us and fights us. At the end of this, psychometry proves to be a bane, thrusting Cal into a vision of Trilla's past. Back at the Mantis, we enter the endgame stretch. Seer officially crowns Cal as a Jedi Knight, and the duo set off. Fortress Inquisitorius is our final destination. The mission? Reclaim the holocron. In truth, this area is just the same as all the ones before. Hack and slash and hack. We ultimately make our way through to the final room, where a confrontation with Trilla awaits yet again. This fight isn't at all difficult without the Force and ends rather swiftly. After a tense standoff, Trilla comes this close to breaking, only to be interrupted by a menacing figure. There behind her, standing in a doorway, is the striking shadow of a black dildo man, who potentially fails us the challenge. At one point in the fight, the man has us dead to rights, forcing us to either die or use the force pull feature on an object behind him, which drains the force bar. I'm not happy, but we've come so far, so we may as well finish. This leads to a brutal escape sequence where we run and run and run some more. The exit is flawed to say the least, and Seer nearly gives up her life for us to escape. With the window broken, the game ends. At the start of this challenge I asked a simple question. Can you beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order without using the Force? The answer, if you ask me, is yes, you can. That one incident at the end with Vader cannot be avoided, and I don't think that breaks the rules. It was strange. In a game where you get really easily used to having a whole heap of amazing Force attacks and moves, shutting the majority of them away is actually really interesting. Definitely give this one a go. It was a lot of fun actually, and my combat skills in the game really increased as a result. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and feel free to leave a comment with any suggestions you might like to see me do in the future. And please, join me next time, where I ask the question, can you beat Spider-Man PS4 without getting hit? Thank you so much again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.